The state of Assam has been reeling under a massive flood crisis. You've got lakhs of people being affected, crops, infrastructure, all of that being damaged, and animals also at Assam's famous Kaziranga Park being displaced. But this is something that we see every single year come the monsoon season. Why exactly is that? In the next segment, we're going to try and understand why the floods wreak havoc every single year in Assam. Why is this an annual affair? The first reason is because of earthquakes and landslides. Now, many northeast parts of India are prone to earthquakes. Assam is one such state. And also because of increased landslides, you see a lot of debris that's gathered in the rivers. So the riverbed, the level of the riverbed goes up, so which means the water level also increases. That itself leads to a bit of problem, particularly for people who live along these rivers. But the biggest perhaps factor is the Brahmaputra river. The Brahmaputra river, originating at the Kailash ranges, flows through Tibet. It enters India at Arunachal Pradesh, and when it flows into Assam, it essentially breaks Assam into two parts, that's north and south. Now, when you also see that, because Brahmaputra is such a big river, it's got a number of tributaries. It also ensures that the soil is very, very fertile in the state, which is why many people in the state, their livelihood depends on the Brahmaputra river. It of course wreaks a lot of havoc. It leads to a huge amount of flooding during the monsoon season, and we'll explain why that is. The Brahmaputra river, as I mentioned earlier, originates at the Kailash ranges. So during the summer, the glaciers melt, which means the water level automatically rises up. Add to that the monsoons, which in Assam is from June to August, right after the summer. So again, your water level goes up during heavy rains, and that causes a lot of flooding. Now, this has not historically always been a problem. Before 1950, the monsoons were a welcome reprieve from the heat for the people of Assam. In 1950, there was a massive earthquake, 8.6 magnitude earthquake that struck Assam, leaving over 4,000 people dead, and that shift in the tectonic plates also again ensured that your water levels go up, because your riverbed, it went up, the level went up, so water levels also increased in the state, and every monsoon then it became an issue. Another reason, and these are man-made issues, that of embankments. This is something that we've seen really in almost every part of the country. To deal with the monsoon season, to deal with excessive flooding, embankments are created to ensure water easily drains off. So considering that every year we were seeing a problem in Assam, the government decided to do something about it. So they decided to go ahead and construct embankments. Successive governments in Assam then focused on this. 30,000 crore rupees was spent on just building up embankments. But that didn't work, because embankments require upkeep, require maintenance. None of that was done. Almost 93% of the embankments were built over 28 years ago. So you can imagine the amount of maintenance it requires, which wasn't done. So there was no drainage channel. All of it was left blocked, and no action was taken by the administration. Another challenge in these embankments is that people started building in these areas. So again, you had another block to the embankment. So there was no drainage of water. That brings us to our next issue, that of encroachments. Something that you see really across the country and across the world are illegal encroachments. People choosing to live near water bodies, live closer to rivers, to lakes, and thereby encroaching upon space that would usually be taken up by water bodies, by water that flows in from excessive flooding. In these circumstances, there's lesser space for water to flow, and that leads to a problem, that leads to flooding. People who have encroached also and live along these water bodies suffer a lot. Another issue is with regards to dams. Yes, dams are built to regulate water, but when done unscientifically, it can be a huge problem. For example, in Assam, there are a lot of dams in areas with height, in hilly regions, and when they are not checked properly and regulated, it leads to problems, because suddenly you have water gushing into the plains, into the lower areas of Assam, and that creates a huge problem as well. And finally, another factor is that of land erosion. Now, I mentioned with regards to how Assam sees a lot of landslides, also about encroachments, all of that, a lot of erosion of land near the river. So this is fertile land along the riverbed that keeps eroding. So again, it's the same issue that I mentioned earlier, which is that your riverbed level goes up and thereby your water level increases. So in the issues that I've just raised, it's clear that while some of it is natural, you can't really control the amount of rain or for that matter the fact that you've got such a massive river like the Brahmaputra river flowing right through Assam. What is, however, in our control is the man-made factors, that of encroachments, of ensuring proper embankments, of creating enough space for water bodies, deforestation. All of this needs to be addressed on a war footing, and unless that's done immediately, next year we're going to be having the same discussion. We're going to be talking about this very same topic, about how the monsoons again are creating a problem in Assam.